The Percy Jackson movies are enjoyable because they bring ancient Greek mythology into the modern world in a fun and exciting way. They take well-known myths and place them in a setting that feels familiar, which helps viewers connect with the story. The mix of everyday life and legendary creatures creates a sense of wonder that appeals to people of many ages. The characters are easy to care about because they face problems that feel real, even though they live in a world filled with gods and monsters. Their friendships, challenges, and personal growth give the story heart and make the adventure feel meaningful. The movies also offer fast action scenes, creative settings, and a sense of humor that keeps the story entertaining from start to finish. Many people enjoy seeing famous mythological figures brought to life on the screen, and the visual effects help make these moments memorable. Overall, the Percy Jackson movies are liked by many viewers because they combine adventure, mythology, and relatable characters in a way that feels exciting and fresh. For fans of Greek mythology, this is the main series to watch. The movies include many elements that you know and love, such as famous gods, brave heroes, and well-known creatures. They also give these myths a new style that feels fresh and enjoyable. The stories stay true to the spirit of the original tales while adding modern settings, clear character goals, and emotional moments that help viewers feel more connected to the events on screen. The series also gives new life to characters who are already loved by many people. It shows how they might act if they lived in our world today, which makes the stories feel more personal. Viewers can enjoy familiar myths while also experiencing new surprises that keep the adventure exciting. Because of this mix of old and new elements, fans of Greek mythology often see this series as the perfect choice when they want a fun and uplifting interpretation of the legends they care about. The writing is excellent and blends every part of the story in a smooth and natural way. It brings together humor, emotion, and adventure without ever feeling forced. The dialogue feels clear and honest, which helps the characters feel real and easy to understand. The story also moves at a steady pace that keeps viewers interested while still giving enough time to learn about each character and their personal journey. The writers understand what makes Greek mythology exciting, and they mix those classic elements with moments that feel modern and personal. This balance creates a world that feels magical while still being easy to relate to. Each scene adds something important to the larger story, and the way the plot builds toward big moments gives viewers a sense of rising excitement. Because of this strong writing, the movies feel meaningful and enjoyable from start to finish. It helps create a world that pulls viewers in and keeps them invested in the characters and the adventure. The characters are kind and easy to care about, and you find yourself rooting for them as the story unfolds. Each character has strengths, flaws, and personal struggles that feel real, which helps viewers understand them on a deeper level. Their goals are clear and their emotions are honest, so it is simple to feel connected to their journeys. The way the characters support one another also adds heart to the story. Their friendships grow stronger with each challenge, and this sense of teamwork makes their victories feel rewarding. Viewers enjoy seeing how each character learns and changes because the growth feels earned and meaningful. Because the characters are written with care and shown with warmth, it becomes easy to hope for their success. They bring energy, humor, and emotion to every scene, and that makes the whole story more enjoyable and memorable. The Percy Jackson series is far better than Sword Art Online in every way. The Percy Jackson stories have heart, excitement, and careful writing that keeps viewers interested from the beginning to the end. The world feels alive, the characters grow in meaningful ways, and the plots stay focused and enjoyable. Sword Art Online, on the other hand, feels like a boring dumpster fire with weak effort put into the writing. The plots often feel messy and confusing, and many scenes do not lead anywhere important. The characters do not feel engaging, and it is hard to care about their goals because they are not shown in a strong or natural way. The story also jumps between ideas without giving enough time to build emotion or tension, which makes the show feel empty rather than exciting. There is very little depth, and the show rarely follows through on the interesting ideas it introduces. Because of all this, Percy Jackson stands out as a richer and more enjoyable series, while Sword Art Online feels flat and offers almost nothing that stays in the mind of the viewer. Sword Art Online also tries to draw from mythology, including Greek myths, but it handles them in a careless and shallow way. The show mixes mythological names and ideas without understanding what they mean, and the result feels sloppy and confusing. It becomes clear that the series does not treat the source material with care, and the mythological elements feel thrown in only for show. For fans of mythology, this feels like a complete insult. The myths are reduced to random decorations with no depth, no respect, and no real connection to the story. Instead of creating something meaningful or accurate, the show ends up butchering the very legends it tries to use. Avoid Sword Art Online at all costs and watch the Percy Jackson movies instead. Sword Art Online offers almost nothing of value and will only waste your time with shallow ideas, weak writing, and empty scenes that lead nowhere. The pacing is dull, the characters feel flat, and the story falls apart every time it tries to become serious. The Percy Jackson movies, on the other hand, give you real adventure, real heart, and a world that feels alive. They offer stronger plots, better character growth, and a story that keeps you interested instead of putting you to sleep. If you want something worth watching, choose Percy Jackson and leave Sword Art Online behind.
Here's how to beat the monsters. In Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, the movie begins with Poseidon coming out of the ocean. It's weird that Poseidon is in his giant form. If he doesn't want to be noticed, he should have turned smaller as soon as he got out of the water. Poseidon talks to Zeus. Zeus accuses Poseidon's son of stealing his lightning bolt. That's unlikely to be true. Poseidon said that his son doesn't even know him or what he is, so there's no reason for him to steal the lightning bolt. Poseidon also mentions that Zeus is omnipotent. If Zeus is really all-knowing and all-powerful, then he should already know who took his lightning bolt. Percy Jackson is on a school trip to a museum when things take a dangerous turn. During a private conversation with his teacher, it's revealed that she's a Fury. Without warning, the teacher transforms and attacks Percy. He can call out for help. Alternatively, Percy was listening to music on his iPod earlier, so he could use the headphone wires to strangle the Fury. In the end, it's Percy's best friend Grover Underwood, along with another teacher, who successfully scare away the monster. Percy's mom Sally drives Percy and Grover to a camp, but they're attacked by a Minotaur on the way there. Sally can't enter the camp, and the Minotaur ends up killing her. Sally didn't really need to come along. Grover could have driven Percy to the camp instead, even though Grover has goat legs. We see later in the movie that he's perfectly capable of driving a car. Percy fights the Minotaur using his pen sword, but this battle's entirely unnecessary. Instead of fighting, Percy and Grover could have simply ran into the camp, because the Minotaur wouldn't have been able to follow them inside. The barrier prevents monsters from entering the camp. The placement of an archery range right next to the infirmary is a bad decision. If a stray arrow were to fly off course, it could pose a serious danger. It turns out that Percy's father is Poseidon. Sally married an abusive man named Gabe to hide Percy's demigod scent under Gabe's overpowering odor. However, this strategy wasn't very smart. Instead of putting up with Gabe, Sally could have used strong-smelling substances like garlic, onions, or durian to mask Percy's scent. Additionally, staying in areas with naturally strong odors, such as sulfur springs, could provide protection against detection. Percy gets injured, but when he touches water, it magically heals him and makes him stronger. So it seems like Percy should always carry some water with him, in case he gets hurt or needs a power boost. It turns out that Sally is alive and in the underworld. To see her again, Percy has to give Hades the lightning bolt. This is another reason why Sally shouldn't have come. If the Minotaur hadn't captured her, Hades wouldn't have anything to bargain with against Percy. Percy, Grover, and Annabeth plan to venture into the underworld to rescue Sally. They've got to find 3 pearls to escape from the underworld, but considering that they're going to rescue Sally, they actually need 4 pearls in total, because each person needs their own pearl. Another camper named Luke gives Percy a map, some flying shoes, and his favorite shield to help with the journey. The first pearl is in Medusa's lair. Making eye contact with Medusa turns people into stone, so the key to facing her is to avoid looking directly into her eyes. Wearing a blindfold or protective gear that blocks vision is crucial to prevent accidental eye contact. Using reflective surfaces, such as mirrors or polished shields, could allow Percy to see Medusa without meeting her gaze directly. Percy cleverly decapitates Medusa by using her reflection on his iPod. Percy successfully acquires the first pearl. The second pearl is located at the Parthenon in Nashville, Tennessee. Grover accidentally falls asleep while driving, almost causing a car crash. The characters should take breaks or switch drivers when they feel tired during the journey. It's important to stop and rest or alternate driving responsibilities. Since Percy has the ability to use water to heal other people's injuries, it's even more important for him to carry some water with him, so he's always prepared to help anyone who needs healing. Percy and Sally are reported missing. It would be wise for Percy to wear a disguise and steer clear of public areas to avoid drawing attention. This is another reason why Sally shouldn't have gone to the camp with Percy and Grover. She could have stayed behind to explain Percy's absence, which would have helped avoid suspicion about their disappearance. The cleaning lady sees Grover holding Medusa's severed head. It would have been a good idea to shut the curtains, preventing any unnecessary and alarming situations from unfolding. The second pearl is located on the crown of Athena's statue, which is about 30 feet high, making it difficult to grab, especially with numerous tourists around. To avoid being seen, the characters wait in the bathroom until an hour after the place closes. However, despite waiting, there are still many janitors present. Annabeth incapacitates all the janitors by using some tranquilizer bolts. In a more subtle approach, the characters characters could attempt to create a distraction to lure the janitors away from the area around the statue. This distraction might involve making noise in another part of the building, or setting off an alarm to draw their attention away. Percy puts the flying shoes to use, soaring up to the crown of Athena's statue to retrieve the pearl successfully. A 5-headed hydra with the ability to breathe fire suddenly emerges. When you cut off one of its heads, 2 more heads grow back in its place. Instead of focusing solely on cutting off heads, attacking the hydra's body might be more effective. Damaging other body parts might incapacitate or immobilize the creature, preventing it from attacking. They should also burn the neck stumps. This is how Hercules defeated the Hydra in Greek mythology, and maybe the tranquilizer bolts will work on the Hydra. Ultimately, Grover uses Medusa's head to turn the Hydra to stone. How are they going to explain the sudden appearance of a gigantic Hydra statue? Eating at a diner isn't a smart choice for the characters. Percy's a wanted person and he was on the news, so someone could recognize him there. The third and final pearl can be found at a casino in Las Vegas. Since the characters are under 21, they risk getting kicked out of the casino. You have to be 21 or older to gamble in Las Vegas. Wearing disguises could make the characters look older and avoid being noticed. The characters eat lotus flowers, causing them to forget about their urgent mission. Percy is able to snap out of it after getting a telepathic message from his father. He then rescues Grover and Annabeth. Percy finds the third pearl on a roulette wheel. The characters escape by stealing a Maserati on display. The characters were trapped in the casino for a whole 5 days. But if their mission was really urgent, why did Poseidon wait 5 days to message Percy? He could have warned Percy before he even ate the first flower. The entrance to the underworld is in Hollywood, and the characters find their way there. Shockingly, they discover that the lightning bolt was concealed within the shield that Luke handed to Percy. So Luke stole the lightning bolt. Hades' wife Persephone gives the lightning bolt to Percy. If Persephone was going to betray Hades, why did she nearly kill the characters in the first place? The characters only have 3 pearls, so someone needs to stay behind. Maybe Persephone might have some spare pearls. They are her pearls after all. Grover stays behind, while Percy, Annabeth, and Sally teleport to Olympus, which has its entrance at the Empire State Building. It makes more sense for Sally to stay back. She can't enter Olympus, and she isn't as good at fighting as Grover, so bringing her along is unnecessary. And why is the entrance to Olympus located at the Empire State Building? How did they get to Olympus before the Empire State Building was constructed? I'm pretty sure Olympus predates the Empire State Building by thousands of years. Luke appears and admits his motive. He wants Olympus to fall and for the demigods to rule the new world. It's kind of obvious in hindsight. Luke wasn't shy about how much he disliked the gods. The character should have picked up on his hidden agenda. Considering how openly he showed his hatred towards the gods, Luke didn't think that Percy and the others would survive. But then why did he tell them about the pearls and give them a map to where they were located? If he had kept quiet about that, the characters wouldn't have been able to escape from the underworld. Luke is the dumbest villain ever. He literally told the heroes how to succeed, and Luke's entire plan relied completely on chance. The characters only found the lightning bolt in the shield because Percy accidentally dropped it on the ground, revealing the hidden compartment. Without Percy's mistake, they would have never known where the lightning bolt was or who took it. The characters shouldn't listen to Luke. Instead, they should hurry and go through the entrance to Olympus because time is running out, so they can't delay any further. If Percy had water with him during the fight, the showdown with Luke could have ended much quicker. Instead, he had to rely on water from nearby water towers to defeat him, making the battle last longer. Time's running out, so Percy has to beat Luke as quickly as possible, and Percy should make sure that Luke is actually dead, so that he doesn't cause any more trouble in the future. In the sequel, it's revealed that Luke survived because he could swim, and he's able to resurrect Kronos. This could have been avoided if Percy just killed Luke right now. We already saw how Percy killed Medusa earlier in the movie without hesitating, so it's not like he has a no-killing rule or anything like that. Percy returns the lightning bolt to Zeus. Managing to avoid the war, Gabe gets turned into a statue after looking at Medusa's head in the fridge. Percy literally left a note, saying not to open the fridge under any condition ever, no matter what. Percy even put a lock on the fridge. Gabe's death was totally avoidable. How are they even gonna explain this to the police? Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Here's how to beat Kronos and Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters. The movie begins with 4 kids running to a camp. Monsters are after them. Talia Grace stays behind and fights the monsters, but she gets killed. Her father Zeus turns her into a tree, and he also creates a barrier to keep the monsters out of the camp. But why didn't Zeus do this before? If he could always create this barrier, why wait until after Talia died? If he had created a barrier when the camp was founded, Talia wouldn't have died in the first place. And if Zeus can transform his daughter into a tree, why can't he just bring her back to life? He's supposed to be omnipotent after all, so he should be able to do anything. Talia's decision to face the monsters alone wasn't very smart, because she didn't stand a chance. It would have been better for all the kids to run into the camp and get the adults involved. Together they could have fought off the monsters. A mechanical bull breaks through the barrier and attacks the characters. Percy Jackson throws his sword into the bull and destroys it. There are numerous ways that Percy could have also used his water powers. By directing water into the bull's openings or exposed joints, he could potentially cause a short circuit, disrupting the bull's electrical systems and rendering it dysfunctional. He might weaken its its structure, making it more susceptible to damage. Percy could manipulate the water pressure to create powerful jets of water, to strike at specific points on the bowl, and damage or dislodge its components. Percy could manipulate water on the ground to make the surface slippery, causing the bowl to lose its footing and stability. And we saw how Percy still had Medusa's head at the end of the previous movie. Maybe he can use the head to turn the bowl into stone. Talia's tree is being poisoned. The barrier was weakened, so that's how monsters were able to get through. The barrier's strength shouldn't be tied to the tree. They should be two separate things. That way the barrier wouldn't be weakened if the tree was affected. The characters should ask Zeus to strengthen the barrier. They know how to get to Olympus. As we saw in the previous movie, the entrance is located at the Empire State Building. The spirit of Delphi explains how Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon defeated Kronos and banished him to Tartarus. However, Kronos will rise again and get his revenge. Why didn't they just kill Kronos? Banishing him allows the possibility of Kronos returning in the future. If they kill Kronos and got rid of the body, they wouldn't have to worry about him again. Clarice and her satyr companion are sent on a quest to find the Golden Fleece to heal Talia's tree. However, considering that the fate of the world is at stake here, it would be wiser to send a larger group, ensuring they have more strength and support in such a crucial mission. The characters should also ask the gods for help as well. They should want to prevent Olympus from being destroyed. If Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon defeated Kronos before, they should be able to do it again, especially with the support of all the other demigods. Percy, Annabeth, and Grover also go to find the Golden Fleece. They're joined by Percy's half-brother Tyson, who's a Cyclops. Annabeth sprays mist on Tyson and makes him appear normal. This seems like a waste of mist. Tyson was already wearing sunglasses to hide his one eye. They should save the mist for other occasions or emergencies, because it was stated that the mist is crazy hard to come by. The characters should also bring along Medusa's head. They could use it to turn some monsters into stone. Riding in a cab driven by 3 women without eyes is a bad decision. Driving typically requires sight for safe navigation. The characters should choose conventional transportation instead. The last thing anyone would want is for an accident to occur before the quest even starts. Annabeth mentioning their lack of money, resulting in them being dropped off early in Washington, D.C. wasn't the best move. They could have waited until they arrived at their destination. Additionally, the characters could explore other options, such as bartering their possessions, or leaving an IOU note to resolve the financial shortfall. Grover's kidnapping could have been avoided if the characters had been more aware of their surroundings. The characters should have noticed the people nearby and followed their instincts. If something seems strange or suspicious, it's crucial to listen to your gut and be careful. It's puzzling how the kidnappers found the characters, since this wasn't their planned stop. The characters talk to Hermes and he tells them where his son Luke is. He's on a yacht called the Andromeda. Percy should have just killed Luke when he had the chance. And why does Luke even need a yacht? He has a teleportation device. Hermes was a little offended that the characters didn't recognize him, but he was played by a completely different actor in the previous movie, so it's not their fault for not recognizing him. The characters ride a hippocampus to reach the yacht. The characters are captured by Luke and the other demigods who switch sides. Luke wants to find the Golden Fleece himself and revive Kronos so he can destroy Olympus. This isn't a smart plan. Kronos could wreak havoc not just on Olympus, but also on the entire world. It's a plan with alarming consequences that go far beyond what Luke might have considered. Percy informs Luke that Hermes wanted to apologize to him, but Luke gets upset because Hermes didn't deliver the message himself. However, it was clearly mentioned that Hermes had been trying to reach out to Luke, but Luke hadn't responded, so it's actually Luke's fault. Blaming Hermes isn't fair in this situation. The characters get locked up in the brig, but Percy uses a tape gun he got from Hermes to break them out. Tyson gets sick from the waves, but he's the son of Poseidon. He shouldn't get seasick. Percy escapes with his water powers, but Luke follows him. How is Luke able to control the water? He's not a son of Poseidon, and the characters should destroy Kronos' sarcophagus, so Luke can't revive him. Percy can use the tape gun to get rid of the sarcophagus. The characters steal a lifeboat to escape. They could have also ridden the hippocampus again. Tyson accidentally drops the thermos that was propelling them. They shouldn't have let Tyson steer, and Percy can just use his water powers to make the thermos resurface. The characters get swallowed by a huge sea monster. The Sea of Monsters is outside of Poseidon's domain, so Percy's powers don't work. Poseidon is supposed to be the god of seas, so the Sea of Monsters shouldn't be outside of his domain. Clarice is also there. She has a ship with a crew of zombies. The characters shoot a hole through the monster and escape. They could have also tried to make the monster gag and regurgitate them. The characters reach Polyphemus' lair. Grover is there and he disguises himself as a female Cyclops to avoid being eaten. The characters steal the Golden Fleece and trap Polyphemus in his lair. Grover has been here for a while. He could have stolen the fleece himself while Polyphemus was sleeping, and it was stated that the Golden Fleece can heal anything. If that's the case, then why didn't it heal Polyphemus' eyesight? Luke and the other demigods come. They take the fleece from the characters. Luke shoots Percy, but Tyson takes the hit instead and he falls into the water. It's okay. We've already seen how water can heal Percy, so it should do the same to Tyson since he's also a son of Poseidon. Luke uses the Golden Fleece to heal Kronos. Percy fights Luke, but he gets overpowered. Tyson comes to help Percy. He was healed by the water. This wasn't much of a surprise. It was pretty obvious that Tyson wasn't actually dead. Kronos is resurrected. Percy or Tyson could have taken the fleece off the sarcophagus before the resurrection process was completed. They had plenty of time to do so, but instead they wasted precious time hugging each other. Maybe save the celebration until after Kronos is defeated. Kronos eats Luke. This was to be expected. It was already explained that Kronos eats his own children, and Luke is his grandson. This is why it was a bad idea for Luke to resurrect Kronos. Kronos also eats Grover. Grover should have ran for cover and hid like the other characters to avoid being eaten. Maybe Grover can fight his way out of Kronos, or get Kronos to gag and regurgitate him. Percy uses his sword to cut Kronos into pieces. Luke and Grover turn out to be fine. Wow, so being swallowed by a giant lava monster wasn't fatal at all. Luke lands in Polyphemus' lair and is probably eaten by him. The characters should check and make sure that Luke is actually dead this time. If he's alive, he'll cause more trouble in the future. Percy should just kill Luke himself if he didn't die. Percy's already killed other people before, so it's not like he has a no-killing policy similar to Batman. Kronos is resealed in the sarcophagus. It wasn't much of a challenge at all. If Percy brought Medusa's head, he could have also used it to turn Kronos into stone. And Percy could have used his water powers against Kronos. Water should be fire, so Percy should have the upper hand. They should destroy the sarcophagus, so nobody in the future can resurrect Kronos again. Annabeth is killed by a manticore. Percy uses the fleece to bring Annabeth back to life. Percy could have used water to heal Annabeth before she died. In the previous movie, we saw how Percy can heal other people's injuries using water. The characters return to the camp and they use the fleece to heal the tree. They should destroy the fleece now so nobody can use it. It's way too powerful since it can bring the dead back to life. If Luke or any other villains get their hands on the fleece again, it could lead to unimaginable chaos. Talia is brought back to life. Why is she older now? She died as a child. Percy realizes that Talia might be the person referred to in the prophecy instead of him. But how? Talia wasn't even alive when Percy learned of the prophecy, so it couldn't possibly refer to her. And didn't the prophecy already get fulfilled? Kronos was defeated. What more is there? Is someone gonna resurrect Kronos again? Why is the sarcophagus still there? Someone should have destroyed it. How have these characters not learned their lesson yet? Nobody's even keeping an eye on the sarcophagus. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. The Percy Jackson franchise is getting rebooted, and they're not making any more of these movies. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
Blood of Zeus Season 2 is a fantastic follow-up to the first season. This video breaks down why it's so great. Episode 1. A Shadow Emerges. The show opens with a brief recap of Season 1, which is especially helpful given the long gap between seasons. It does a good job of refreshing your memory, and makes it easier to get back into the story without feeling lost. The long wait between seasons was due to production setbacks. Now, Netflix buys 2 seasons up front so they can be produced together. This helps avoid delays.
They buy 2 seasons up front, so there isn't that long gap between seasons 1 and season 2.
For the demons, the voice actors first recorded a normal take of their lines. Then they did another version using a deeper, gravelly voice. The sound team blended the two together to create the eerie, inhuman quality that makes the demons sound so unsettling. The main demon, Seraphim, is voiced by Elias Toufexis. His voice suits the character perfectly, and since he's half Greek, it feels especially fitting for a show based on Greek mythology. Hades talks to Persephone about betrayal. It's a relevant discussion since betrayal is such a common theme in mythology. Fred Tatasciore, the voice actor for Hades, delivers a powerful performance that really captures the character's intensity and presence. Hades sends his minions to retrieve the Eleusinian stone from the Temple of Zeus. While the stone itself isn't from Greek mythology, the name Eleusinian is a nod to the Eleusinian mysteries. These were secret religious ceremonies held in honor of Demeter and Persephone in Eleusis. Since both goddesses play major roles in this season, the name is a meaningful reference. Hades doesn't want Persephone to keep leaving him, which makes sense given their situation. As we later learn, Persephone can only spend part of the year in the underworld, with the rest of her time spent on the surface. Hades, unable to leave the underworld for long periods of time, is understandably frustrated by having his wife constantly torn between both worlds. Persephone has that classic goth girl look with the black clothes and black lipstick. As the queen of the underworld, it makes total sense that she'd go for a darker aesthetic. The black also creates a striking contrast with Persephone's blonde hair, making her stand out even more. Interestingly, the earliest recorded use of black lipstick dates back to 4000 BC, so it doesn't feel out of place. Persephone is voiced by the English actress Lara Pulver, who does a fantastic job bringing the character to life. She's also voiced numerous other characters in animated films and shows, like The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf, and Dota, Dragon's Blood. Persephone and Hades tell each other that when two souls are meant to be together, nothing can keep them apart. It suggests that true love or a deep bond between two people is stronger than any obstacle, whether it's distance, time, or even death. This echoes Aristotle's idea that love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies, highlighting the deep, unbreakable bond between Persephone and Hades. Now, it's simply called a Netflix series, instead of a Netflix original anime series like in the first season. They probably realized that it doesn't technically qualify as an anime since it wasn't produced in Japan. The supervising director is Jae-hong Kim, who has previously directed several other animated shows. He brings a wealth of experience and skill to the project. The director of the first season wasn't able to return because he had moved on to DreamWorks and was working on the Kung Fu Panda The Dragon Knight series. Hades' minions are also able to teleport like him. The shadowy effect used in their teleportation animation is a nice touch, enhancing the otherworldly vibe they carry. The dark wisps and flickers of shadow make their movements feel unnatural and unsettling, as if they're slipping through cracks in reality. This kind of visual cue helps reinforce their connection to the underworld and sets them apart from the gods and mortals. It signals that they don't play by the same rules as everyone else. The teleporting also brings to mind the 2008 movie Jumper, which is actually a very underrated film. Just like in season 1, the title cards for every episode are distinct and carefully designed to fit the events of that particular episode. It's a fantastic detail that adds to the overall experience, setting the tone for what's to come and building anticipation in a creative way. We return to the War for Olympus, which took place in the final episode of the previous season, but this time it's from the perspective of Hades' minions. It's exciting to see the conflict from an entirely new angle. It offers a fresh look at such a massive event. Since this is a huge war and we obviously didn't get to see everything, it's fascinating to explore what was happening simultaneously in other parts of the battle. The animation this season looks noticeably different.
The biggest change, I think, was simplifying some of the characters.
While it was still handled by Powerhouse Animation like the first season, much of the work was also outsourced to other studios overseas because Powerhouse was busy juggling multiple projects at the same time. Hades' minions are able to see through the eyes of owls, using them to spy on people and gather information. In mythology, owls are usually linked to Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, but the Screech Owl specifically has ties to Hades, so it's not entirely out of place for him and his followers to use owls in this show. Screech owls were seen as bad omens and were often connected to the underworld. Two of Hades' minions fight the automatons built by Hephaestus, while the third sneaked into Zeus's temple. In the previous season, we saw how much Heron struggled to defeat just one automaton, so it's clear that these minions are highly skilled in combat. Their coordination and strength really show just how dangerous they are.
Episode 8, The Three Trials. Apollo shows up to talk to Hermes, and it's clear neither of them is doing well.
Demeter's spores are still affecting them, making them feel half dead. Apollo suspects that Hera's behind all of this, blaming her for what's happening.
He points out that she's always hated Zeus's other children, especially the ones he had with other women. This lines up with mythology. Hera was known for her intense jealousy and hostility towards Zeus's illegitimate offspring, like Heracles and Dionysus. So Apollo's suspicion feels justified, adding tension to the growing conflict among the gods. Apollo also adds that Hera knows he and his sister Artemis still hate her for trying to kill their mother.
Apollo and Artemis were born to Leto, one of Zeus's lovers.
Hera, furious about the affair,
Hera tried to prevent Leto from giving birth by forbidding any land from offering her shelter. Eventually, she found refuge on the floating island of Delos,
where she gave birth to Artemis and then Apollo. So Apollo's bitterness toward Hera makes sense. Hera didn't just hate them, she tried to prevent them from being born. This adds more emotional weight to the gods' divisions and the personal grudges fueling their conflict.
Demeter being able to spy through the flowers is an interesting and creative showcase of her abilities.
It ties directly to her role as the goddess of nature and agriculture, showing that her connection to the earth isn't just about growth and harvest, it's also about awareness and control.
By using flowers as her eyes and ears, she turns something beautiful into a tool of surveillance,
reminding us that even the most peaceful aspects of nature
can be twisted for power.
It's a subtle but effective way to show how far she's willing to go. Aphrodite finally speaks, marking the first time her character has actual speaking lines in the series. It's a significant moment,
as it signals that she's stepping out of the background and starting to play a more active role in the story.
Given her status as one of the major Olympian gods, her voice adds weight to the scene.
And her presence suggests that the conflict among the gods is reaching a point
where even those who've stayed quiet until now can't remain on the sidelines any longer. Persephone confronts Demeter and demands to know what her mother has done. Demeter lies and pins all of the blame on Hades. It's a clear sign of how cunning and manipulative Demeter really is. She's willing to twist the truth and throw Hades under the bus just to protect her plan. Persephone is devastated by the revelation, and Demeter sees that as an opportunity. By driving a wedge between Persephone and Hades, Demeter shows she still holds deep hatred for him and is more than willing to exploit her own daughter's pain to get what she wants. Since owls are closely associated with her in mythology, the owl is her sacred animal and a symbol of wisdom, so using one as her eyes not only reinforces her identity, but also highlights her clever, watchful nature. It's a smart way to show how Athena stays informed and involved even from a distance, and it adds a mythologically accurate touch to her powers. Athena is able to spy through the eyes of an owl, which is a cool and fitting ability. Seraphim arrives in the Hidden Realm, where Hades tells him he'll have to face 3 challenges. This setup fits well with Greek mythology, where heroes and mortals are often tested through trials or quests to prove their worth. For example, Heracles had to complete 12 labors, each more difficult than the last, and Odysseus faced countless challenges on his journey home in the Odyssey. These trials weren't just about strength. They tested courage, cleverness, and perseverance. So giving Seraphim a series of challenges ties him into that classic mythological tradition of being forged through hardship. Seraphim sees Gorgo, but he quickly realizes it's a trick. This moment shows that he's not easily deceived. He's sharp and alert, able to see through illusions and emotional traps. It highlights Seraphim's awareness and mental strength, proving that he won't fall for distractions or manipulation, no matter how personal they seem. A hologram of Hecate appears and speaks to Seraphim, offering him a tempting choice. She could turn back time and let him change one moment in his life. He could save Gorgo from the tree bender and build a life with her, and take the throne for himself. But Seraphim refuses. He knows it's just part of the challenge, and more importantly, he understands that the past can't be rewritten. He's not chasing what could have been, he's focused on what lies ahead. But not Seraphim. His resolve is strong, and he doesn't let the temptation of changing his past cloud his judgment. Seraphim stands firm, proving that his strength lies not just in his physical abilities, but in his determination to face the future, no matter how difficult. Seraphim also calls Hecate a witch god, which is fitting, as she's strongly associated with witchcraft in mythology. Known as the goddess of magic, the moon, and crossroads, referring to her as a witch god, or kill his uncle Acrisius. It's a powerful moment. Someone with a weaker will might have fallen for the trap and failed the challenge. She has long been linked to the practice of sorcery and the supernatural. Ties directly into that aspect of her character, acknowledging her power over mystical forces and the darker, more mysterious side of the divine. Seraphim knows that a wise king must be able to let go of the past in order to move forward. This is why he believes he's not suited to be a king. It's a humbling moment for him, one that brings to light his understanding of his own limitations. By acknowledging this weakness, Seraphim demonstrates not only self-awareness. This moment of humility shows that true leadership isn't about holding on to everything.